History isn't boring, it's insane. From armies led by animals to strange inventions we still use, these 20 facts will blow your mind. Stick around, because each one is wilder than the last. Ancient Egyptians invented one of the first breath mints by mixing cinnamon, myrrh, and honey into small, boilable pellets. These early mints weren't just for fresh breath. They were also used in religious rituals and to mask the smell of illness. It shows how, even thousands of years ago, people cared about personal hygiene and social customs. During World War II, the US built a fake entire city on top of a Boeing factory roof to trick Japanese bombers. The rooftop was disguised with fake houses, burlap trees, and even cars, making it look like a quiet suburb from above. This clever deception protected thousands of workers and was a remarkable example of wartime ingenuity. Vikings never wore horned helmets into battle. That image actually came from 19th century theater costume designers who wanted to make them look more dramatic on stage. Real Viking helmets were practical and simple, designed for battle, not for show. The horned helmet myth is one of history's most persistent misconceptions. George Washington grew marijuana on his farm, but it wasn't for getting high. Hemp was a common and essential crop in colonial America, used for making rope, sails, and clothing. Washington encouraged farmers to grow hemp because it was so valuable for building the new nation. Before alarm clocks, people called knocker-uppers tapped on windows with long sticks to wake people for work. This job was common in Britain and Ireland during the Industrial Revolution, when factory shifts started early. They were a reliable human solution to punctuality. Imagine relying on a stranger with a long pole instead of your phone alarm. Alexander the Great named more than 70 cities after himself, spreading his legacy across 3 continents. The most famous is Alexandria in Egypt, which became a renowned center of learning and culture. These cities helped spread Greek ideas and language far beyond Greece itself. In World War I, carrier pigeons delivered thousands of vital messages when other communication failed. One heroic pigeon, Cher Ami, saved nearly 200 soldiers by flying through enemy fire with a message tied to her leg. These birds were true wartime heroes, trusted for their speed and reliability. During the Middle Ages, doctors believed that rubbing a live chicken on the sores of plague victims could actually cure the disease. This bizarre treatment was based on the idea that illness could be drawn out of the body and into the animal. It was a desperate measure, but it shows just how frantic people were to find a cure for the deadly Black Death. In ancient Egypt, servants were sometimes covered head to toe in sticky honey to attract flies away from the pharaoh. This strange human flypaper job was considered an honor, as it protected the ruler from annoying insects during important ceremonies and meals. It's a wild example of how far people would go to serve their king. During World War II, U.S. Army jeeps were so tough that the military tested them by literally pushing them off cliffs to see if they would still run. These rugged vehicles became legendary for their incredible durability, and many soldiers credited them with saving lives on the battlefield. Before pencils, people wrote with sticks of lead, which were messy and even toxic. The modern wooden pencil, with its non-toxic graphite core, wasn't invented until the 1500s in England. It quickly became popular because it was safer, cleaner, and easier to use for writing and drawing. If you're enjoying this series so far, hit the like button to let us know. In ancient Sparta, newborn babies were bathed in wine instead of water to test their strength and health. If a baby reacted badly, it was seen as a sign of weakness. This harsh initial test reflected the Spartans' obsession with physical fitness and their belief in raising only the strongest warriors. Pirates wore gold earrings not just for style, but because they believed it could improve their eyesight by applying pressure to the earlobe. Some pirates also used their valuable earrings as a form of savings, to pay for a proper burial if they died far from home. The very first Olympic Games in ancient Greece didn't award gold, silver, or bronze medals. Instead, winners received a simple olive wreath, cut from a sacred tree. This was a symbol of honor and victory. These wreaths were highly prized and showed that the athlete was a true champion. During Prohibition in the United States, from 1920 to 1933, the sale of alcohol was banned nationwide. But there was a clever loophole. Doctors could prescribe medicinal whiskey. People would visit their doctor for a prescription, then head to the pharmacy to pick up their pint of whiskey, a quantity they could receive every 10 days. This led to a surge in whiskey prescriptions, making pharmacies and some doctors incredibly wealthy. In fact, Walgreens grew from 20 stores to over 500 during this period, thanks in part to these sales. This creative workaround made Prohibition one of the most ironic chapters in American history. In the Middle Ages, tomatoes were considered poisonous in Europe, especially among the wealthy. Nobles would eat tomatoes off fancy pewter plates, which contained lead. The acidity of the tomatoes caused the lead to leach into the food, making people sick or even causing death. The poor who used wooden plates were completely unaffected. This led to the myth that tomatoes themselves were deadly, and it took centuries before they became a staple in European cuisine. It wasn't until the 18th and 19th centuries, when tomatoes were grown and eaten by commoners on simple plates, that people realized the fruit was safe and delicious. The Great Wall of China is often said to be visible from space with the naked eye, but that's just a myth. Astronauts have confirmed that the wall is nearly impossible to see without aid, because it's narrow and blends in with the natural landscape. From orbit, it's no more visible than a highway. The myth likely started as a way to emphasize the wall's incredible length and scale. Aztec warriors wore armor made from thick layers of cotton stuffed with salt. The cotton was soaked in brine to stiffen it. This ingenious design was not only lightweight and comfortable in the hot climate, but it was also strong enough to stop arrows and even some swords. Spanish conquistadors were so impressed that they sometimes adopted the armor themselves. In the 1800s, ketchup was actually sold as medicine. A doctor named John Cook Bennett claimed it could cure indigestion and even diarrhea. He published recipes for tomato ketchup pills, and for a while, people bought into the hype, until the medical claims were debunked. Fraudulent copycat pills soon flooded the market, ruining public trust. Roman gladiators are often shown fighting to the death in movies, but in reality, most matches were carefully regulated. Gladiators were expensive to train and maintain, so organizers preferred to keep them alive. Referees were present in the arena to enforce rules. Many fights ended when one fighter was clearly defeated, and only rarely did they result in death. History is full of unbelievable facts, and these were only 20 of them. Which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments and stay tuned for part 3. It's going to be even crazier.